Chosen ones, God says, this message was only for you. It disappears in 1 hour. Stop. Feel that stirring in your chest, that quickening in your spirit, like a spark igniting a flame you thought had long gone out. This isn't just another video scrolling past your screen. This is a divine interruption, a sacred whisper from heaven itself. Crafted for you, chosen one, in this precise moment. The clock is ticking. 1 hour from now, this message will vanish, not because of algorithms or chance, but because God's timing is surgical, and this is your divine appointment. Your heart is racing, isn't it? That's not anxiety, that's recognition. Your soul knows this is no accident. You were led here, guided by an unseen hand, because heaven has something urgent to say. For years you've carried burdens others couldn't see. Sleepless nights, silent tears, dreams that felt like they were buried under the weight of disappointment. You've wondered if God forgot your name, if your prayers were lost in the void, if your purpose was just a fleeting illusion. But hear this now. Every struggle, every closed door, every moment you felt invisible was not punishment. It was preparation. God was forging you in the fire, not to break you, but to make you unbreakable. This video unveils a unique truth. Your deepest doubts are not barriers, but bridges to your divine purpose. The very questions that haunt you. Am I enough? Is it too late? Are the keys to unlocking the breakthrough God has reserved for you alone. Picture a scroll unfurling in the courts of heaven, your name written in golden ink, glowing with divine intent. Before the stars were hung in the sky, before your first breath, God penned a plan for you, a destiny so specific it fits no one else in all of creation. Jeremiah 1:5 declares, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." This isn't a vague promise, it's a divine contract, and tonight God is calling you to sign it. But this message comes with a timer. In 1 hour, this window closes, not because God is cruel, but because divine opportunities are tied to divine timing. Think of Noah, who had 1 season to build the ark before the rains came. Think of Esther, who had 1 moment to approach the king or lose her people. Your moment is now, chosen one, and it's slipping away like sand through your fingers. You didn't stumble here by chance. While billions sleep through their ordinary lives, heaven has paused the chaos of the world to speak directly to you. This is your spiritual awakening, your faith journey reaching its tipping point. But you must act. Hesitation is the enemy's oldest trick, whispering that tomorrow will bring another chance. It won't. This is the message meant only for you, and it disappears in 1 hour. Why does this feel so urgent? Because you're standing at the edge of your personal transformation, and the enemy knows it. Every doubt you've carried, every fear that's kept you small, every lie that's told you you're not enough, they're trembling now because they sense their time is up. You've been through the wilderness, haven't you? Rejection that cut like a knife, financial struggles that tested your faith, moments when you screamed to God, "Why me?" But what if "why me" was never the right question? What if the real question is, why not me? God wasn't ignoring you in those dark nights. He was preparing you. Every tear you shed was watering the seeds of your destiny. Every closed door was God's protection, steering you away from paths that would have dimmed your light. Psalm 35 sings, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." Your morning is breaking, chosen one, but you must rise to meet it. Picture a radiant door before you, your name carved in gold, pulsing with the promise of God's plan. This door isn't locked, but it's timed. In 1 hour, it closes, and what lies beyond, your breakthrough, your purpose, your divine moment, will either be claimed or lost forever. Let's talk about Sarah, a woman from Charlotte, North Carolina, who felt like you might right now. At 42, She was a single mother of 2, working a dead-end job, her dreams of starting a community center for at-risk youth buried under years of bills and exhaustion. One night, scrolling through her phone, she stumbled on a message like this one. Her heart raced, but doubt crept in. I'm too old. I don't have the money. What if I fail? She almost clicked away, but something, call it the Holy Spirit, call it divine instinct, made her stay. She wrote down one goal that night: start the center within a year. Within weeks, she connected with a local pastor who offered a small space in his church. A year later, her center was serving 50 kids, funded by grants she never knew existed. Sarah's story isn't a fairy tale. It's proof that God's plan doesn't need your perfection, only your participation. Her doubt didn't disqualify her. It was the bridge to her destiny. Your doubts, chosen one, are not your enemy. They're your invitation to trust God deeper. If this message is stirring your soul, consider supporting our mission through Super Thanks below. Your generosity helps us reach more chosen ones standing at their own divine crossroads, awakening them to their God-given purpose. Whether you give or simply receive, your presence here is no accident, it's ordained. Now, let's address the weight you're carrying. You've felt different your whole life, haven't you? Like you were born for something bigger, something beyond the ordinary. That feeling isn't imagination, it's prophecy. Romans 8:28 assures us, all things work together for good to those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. Your struggles weren't random. They were orchestrated to build your resilience, your empathy, your faith. Think of Joseph, sold into slavery, imprisoned for years, yet every betrayal was a step toward becoming Egypt's second in command. His pit wasn't his punishment. It was his preparation. Your pain, chosen one, is your qualification. The world sees your scars as flaws, but God sees them as battle stripes. Proof you've been chosen for a purpose so grand, it required this level of forging. But here's where doubt creeps in, doesn't it? You're thinking, what if I'm not ready? What if I'm too broken, too old, too late? Let me stop you there. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Moses was 80 when he faced Pharaoh, a murderer with a speech impediment, yet he led a nation to freedom. Harriet Tubman, a former slave with seizures, led 300 souls to liberty through divine visions. Your limitations are not barriers. They're the raw materials God uses to craft miracles. The enemy wants you to believe your past disqualifies you, but God says your past authenticates you. Your failures don't define you, they refine you. Picture a diamond formed under crushing pressure, its beauty revealed only after the cut. You are that diamond, chosen one, and this hour is your unveiling, but you must act. Isaiah 55:6 warns, seek the Lord while he may be found. Call on him while he is near. This is your window, your divine moment, and it's closing in less than an hour. Lord, while he may be found, call on him while he is near. That urgency isn't a suggestion, it's a divine alarm clock, and it's ringing for you right now. This message, chosen one, is not a casual invitation. It's a summons from the throne room of heaven, and it expires in less than an hour. You're not here to browse, you're here to respond. The doubts whispering in your ear, those voices saying you're too ordinary, too wounded, too far gone. They're not your thoughts. They're the enemy's last-ditch effort to keep you from stepping into the destiny God has already activated. Picture a battlefield, the air thick with spiritual warfare, angels clashing with forces of darkness, all because your breakthrough threatens the enemy's grip on your bloodline. That's what's happening right now, and you're at the center of it. Your doubt isn't a flaw. It's a signal that you're on the verge of something so massive it scares hell itself. Let's talk about what's holding you back. Not the external obstacles, but the internal ones. You've been staring at your reflection in a distorted mirror, one the world handed you, telling you you're defined by your mistakes, your losses, your not enoughs. But God is holding a different mirror tonight, one that reflects your true identity. A chosen vessel, a warrior of light, a carrier of divine purpose. Ephesians 2:10 declares, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Those good works aren't random acts of kindness. They're specific assignments with your name on them, etched into the fabric of eternity. Your doubt, chosen one, is not a stop sign. It's a starting line. It's the tension before the leap, the moment before the seed breaks through the soil. Doubt doesn't disqualify you. It's the raw material God uses to build unshakable faith. Think of Peter stepping onto the water, his eyes locked on Jesus. The moment he doubted, he sank, but Jesus didn't let him drown. Your doubts may make you wobble, but God's hand is already reaching to pull you into your miracle. Now imagine a river, its currents swift and unstoppable, carrying you toward a destination you can't yet see. That river is God's plan, and every struggle you faced was a tributary feeding into it, guiding you to this exact moment. You've been through rejection, haven't you? Maybe a job you were perfect for passed you over, or a relationship you poured your heart into crumbled. Those weren't denials. They were divine detours. God was closing doors that led to lesser versions of your future, steering you toward the one door that matters, the one standing open before you now, glowing with the promise of your spiritual awakening. Psalm 23:3 says, "He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake." Those paths weren't always smooth, but they were always right, leading you to this hour, this message, this divine moment. The enemy wants you to see your past as a graveyard of failures, but God sees it as a garden of preparation, where every buried dream is ready to bloom. Let me share a story about Marcus, a 35-year-old teacher from Atlanta, Georgia, who felt like his life had stalled. He'd always dreamed of writing a book to inspire young men in his community, but years of self-doubt and a demanding job kept him stuck. One evening, exhausted after grading papers, he stumbled across a message like this one. His first instinct was to scroll past. After all, he'd heard inspirational talks before, and they never changed anything. But something stopped him, a tug in his spirit like a voice whispering, "This is for you." That night, Marcus took a small step. He wrote the first page of his book, just 300 words. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Within a month, he'd written 5 chapters. A colleague connected him with a local publisher, and today his book is in community centers across Atlanta, changing lives. Marcus didn't need a grand plan or perfect timing. He needed one moment of courage to act on the stirring in his soul. Your moment, chosen one, is right now, and it's disappearing in less than an hour. If this message is igniting a fire in your spirit, consider supporting our mission through Super Thanks below. Your generosity helps us carry this divine urgency to others standing at their own crossroads, awakening them to their faith journey. Whether you give or simply listen, know this: your presence here is no coincidence. It's a divine appointment. Now, let's talk about what's on the other side of this door. It's not just a blessing or a breakthrough. It's the version of you God always saw. The one unburdened by doubt, unshackled from fear, unstoppable in purpose. Picture yourself standing in a vast field, the horizon ablaze with possibility. Every step you take planting seeds for a legacy that will outlive you. That's what's waiting, not a fleeting moment of relief, but a life of impact where your story becomes a beacon for others lost in the dark. Romans 15:13 prays, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. That overflow isn't just for you. It's for the generations waiting for your yes. But here's where you might hesitate. You're thinking, what do I do? How do I step into this destiny? God doesn't leave you without a map. Let's make this practical, because your personal transformation requires action, not just inspiration. Here are 3 specific steps you can take right now to cross the threshold of this divine moment. First, write down one goal you've been delaying, something God has placed on your heart. A project, a conversation, a dream. Be specific. I will call my estranged sister this week. Or, I will start my business plan by Friday. Put it on paper, because writing it makes it real. Second, reach out to one person who needs your light. Maybe a friend struggling, a family member you've drifted from, or even a stranger God brings to mind. Send a text, make a call, offer a word of encouragement. Your action doesn't need to be grand. It needs to be intentional. Third, take one small step toward your calling today. If you're meant to teach, sign up for a course. If you're called to create, sketch your first idea. If you're meant to lead, volunteer for a small role in your community. These steps aren't the finish line. They're the starting blocks, propelling you through the door before it closes. If you're feeling this message resonate deep in your soul, type "I am claiming my divine moment" in the comments below. Your declaration isn't just words. It's a spiritual marker, a signal to heaven that you're ready, and a spark for someone else scrolling, doubting their own purpose. Let's build a community of chosen ones, lifting each other toward our God-given destinies. Now let's address the lie that's been holding you back. The idea that you need to be perfect to step into God's plan. Perfection is a myth, a trap set by the enemy to keep you paralyzed. Look at David, a shepherd boy who became a king, yet he stumbled. Adultery, murder, betrayal. But God called him a man after his own heart, not because David was flawless, but because he was faithful. Your imperfections don't disqualify you. They make you relatable, a vessel through which God's grace can shine. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Your weaknesses, chosen one, are where God's strength takes center stage. Imagine a tapestry, woven with threads of every moment you thought you failed, every time you felt overlooked, every prayer that seemed unanswered. From where you stand, it might look like a mess of knots and tangles, but from heaven's perspective, it's a masterpiece. Each thread perfectly placed to create the story of your breakthrough. You're not at the end of your story. You're at the turning point, where doubt becomes faith, where pain becomes purpose. The enemy has tried to convince you that your life is a series of accidents, but God says it's a symphony, every note composed before time began. John 15:16 reminds you, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last." That fruit isn't just for you. It's for the world waiting for your courage, your voice, your step through this door. But time is running out. The hour is ticking down, and this message is fading like a star at dawn. You might be tempted to wait, to think you'll come back to this later, but later isn't promised. Think of the parable of the 10 virgins in Matthew 25:5. Were ready when the bridegroom arrived, 5 weren't. The door shut, and no amount of knocking could open it again. This is your hour, chosen one. Your divine wake-up call. Don't let it pass like a ship in the night. Picture yourself standing before God one day, and He asks, "What did you do with the moment I gave you?" Will you say, "I was too afraid"? Or will you say, "I stepped out in faith, and you met me there"? Your answer starts now, in this fleeting hour, with this message meant only for you. The door is open, the scroll is unfurled, and heaven is watching. What will you do with the time you have left? You weren't created to live a small life, to blend into the background, to fade into the ordinary. You were chosen to shift atmospheres, to break chains, to plant seeds that will grow for generations. Think of Hannah, who prayed for a son and gave birth to Samuel, a prophet who anointed kings. Her private prayers reshaped a nation. Your private steps today, those small acts of courage, those quiet moments of obedience, are planting seeds for a harvest you may not see in your lifetime, but it will bear your name in eternity. Proverbs 13:22 says, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." That inheritance isn't just money, it's faith, courage, and purpose, passed down through your obedience. But the enemy doesn't want you to think about legacy. He wants you focused on the immediate, bills, stress, distractions, because he knows that if you lift your eyes to the horizon, you'll see the vastness of God's plan. You're not just living for today. You're building for tomorrow, for the children who will tell your story, for the communities that will thrive because you dared to act. Imagine a lighthouse standing firm against crashing waves, its beam cutting through the darkest storms to guide ships home. That's you, chosen one, a beacon of hope, a guide for those lost in the fog of doubt. But a lighthouse doesn't move. It stands, rooted in purpose, shining no matter the weather. Your purpose is your foundation, and this hour is your chance to plant your feet and let your light blaze. Don't let doubt dim it. Don't let fear snuff it out. The world needs your light, and it needs it now. If you're feeling this message echo in your soul, type "I am answering God's call" in the comments below. Your declaration is a rallying cry, a spark that will ignite courage in someone else, scrolling, wondering if their moment has passed. Let's build a community of chosen ones, standing together, shining together, stepping into our destinies together. Now, let's address the fear that's trying to creep in. You might be thinking, what if I step out and nothing happens? What if I trust and I'm disappointed again? Fear is a liar, but it's also a coward. The moment you move, it flees. Think of Joshua standing before the Jordan River, the promised land just beyond. The waters didn't part until the priests stepped into the current. Your miracle isn't waiting for perfect conditions. It's waiting for your movement. Hebrews 11:6 says, "Without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him." Your faith, even if it's shaky, is enough. God doesn't need your certainty, he needs your willingness. Picture a seed, buried in dark soil, pressed on all sides, seemingly forgotten. It doesn't see the sun, but it feels the pull to grow. That's you, chosen one, buried in challenges, pressed by doubts, but feeling the pull of your divine purpose. The seed doesn't wait for the soil to soften. It pushes through, trusting the light is waiting. Your breakthrough is waiting, but it requires you to push, to act, to trust. The hour is almost gone, and this message is fading. Don't let it slip away. Don't let doubt write the end of your story. You're not here by accident. You're here by assignment. The door is open, the scroll is ready, and heaven is holding its breath. You're not here by accident. You're here by assignment. The door is open, the scroll is ready, and heaven is holding its breath. What will you do with the time you have left? The urgency pulsing through this moment isn't just a feeling, it's a divine signal, a flare shot into the night sky of your soul, calling you to rise, to act, to claim the destiny that's been yours since before the foundations of the earth were laid. You're standing at the edge of a precipice, chosen one, not to fall, but to leap into the vast expanse of God's plan. The doubts that swirl like shadows around you, the fears that tug at your heart, they're not here to stop you, they're here to sharpen you, to remind you that faith isn't the absence of questions, but the courage to move through them. Picture a warrior, armor dinted from battles past, standing before a golden gate that shimmers with promise. That warrior is you, and the gate is now. Less than an hour remains, and this message, this divine interruption, is slipping away. Will you let it vanish, or will you seize it as the lifeline it is? Let's talk about the weight of this moment, because it's not just about you, it's about the ripple effect of your obedience. Your yes to God's call isn't a solitary act. It's a stone dropped into the still waters of eternity, sending waves that will touch lives you'll never meet, heal wounds you'll never see, and break chains you didn't know existed. Galatians 6:9 urges, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." That harvest isn't just for you. It's for the weary mother who needs your encouragement, the young dreamer who needs your example, the broken soul who needs your testimony. You're not just stepping into your divine purpose, you're becoming a bridge for others to cross into theirs. Imagine a city in darkness, its streets shrouded in despair, and you, chosen one, carrying a single flame. That flame feels small in your hands, but when you lift it high, it pierces the night, guiding others home. Your life, your courage, your faith. They're that flame. And this hour is your chance to light the way. But the enemy is cunning, isn't he? He doesn't always attack with obvious threats. Sometimes he distracts with subtle lies, like the idea that you have time to spare, that tomorrow will offer another chance. That's a deception as old as Eden, designed to keep you comfortable in your waiting room while your destiny gathers dust. Look at Martha, the sister of Lazarus, in John 11. When Jesus arrived after Lazarus died, Martha said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." She thought the moment had passed, that hope was lost. But Jesus looked at her and said, "I am the resurrection and the life." He didn't just bring Lazarus back. He showed Martha that God's timing defies human deadlines. Your hour is now, chosen one, not because you're running out of time, but because God has declared this the moment for your resurrection. The dreams you thought were dead, the opportunities you thought were gone, they're stirring, ready to rise, but only if you act before this message fades. Let me tell you about Elena, a 29-year-old nurse from Phoenix, Arizona, who felt like her life was a cycle of routine and regret. She'd always sensed a calling to advocate for mental health in her community, but the demands of her job and the fear of failure kept her silent. One night, feeling burned out, she stumbled across a message like this one. Her first thought was, "This is too good to be true." But as she listened, something shifted. A spark of belief that maybe, just maybe, her life could mean more. That night, Elena took one of her 3 steps. She wrote down her goal to start a support group for healthcare workers. The next day, she reached out to a colleague who shared her passion, and within weeks, they'd organized their first meeting. Today, Elena's group supports over 100 nurses, offering a safe space to heal and grow. Her story isn't about overnight success. It's about one moment of courage that changed everything. You're at that moment now, chosen one, and the clock is ticking. If this message is stirring your soul, consider supporting our mission through Super Thanks below. Your generosity helps us reach more chosen ones, igniting their spiritual awakening and guiding them to their God-given purpose. Whether you give or simply receive, your presence here is a divine appointment, orchestrated by heaven itself. Now, let's talk about the power of your identity, because the enemy has spent years trying to bury it under labels: familiar, forgotten, unworthy. But God is rewriting your name tonight. Revelation 2:17 promises, "To the one who is victorious, I will give a white stone with a new name written on it, known only to the one who receives it." That new name isn't just a title, it's your true essence, the identity heaven sees when it looks at you. You're not the sum of your mistakes, you're the sum of God's promises. Picture a white stone in your hand, warm from the touch of divine grace, your new name glowing like starlight. That name, beloved, overcomer, light-bearer, is what God calls you. And it's the key to unlocking the door before you. But why does this feel so hard? Because transformation isn't a stroll, it's a climb. Every step toward your destiny requires you to shed the old skin of doubt, to let go of the stories you've told yourself about who you can't be. Positive psychology teaches us that growth happens when we embrace discomfort, when we lean into the tension of change. Your discomfort right now, the racing heart, the nagging questions, it's not a sign you're off track, it's proof you're on the verge of a breakthrough. Think of Gideon hiding in a winepress, threshing wheat in fear. When the angel called him a mighty warrior, Gideon argued, "My clan is the weakest, and I am the least." But God didn't see Gideon's limitations. He saw his potential. Your doubts are loud, chosen one, but God's voice is louder, calling you a mighty warrior, a history maker, a carrier of his glory. This hour is your winepress moment, your chance to step out of hiding and into purpose. If you're feeling this message resonate deep within, type "I am embracing my new name" in the comments below. Your declaration is a beacon, a spark that will inspire someone else to claim their identity and step into their divine moment. Let's build a community of chosen ones, renaming ourselves with heaven's truth, standing together in faith. Now let's talk about the unseen forces at work. You're not just fighting doubt or fear, you're in a spiritual battle, and the stakes are higher than you know. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world. Every time you've felt like giving up, every moment you've questioned your worth, that wasn't just you. It was a calculated attack to keep you from this door. But here's the truth. The enemy doesn't want you to know. The intensity of the battle proves the magnitude of your calling. The harder hell fights to stop you, the greater the glory God has planned for you. Imagine a vault in heaven, sealed with your name, filled with blessings, opportunities, and assignments that have been stored up for this moment. Every prayer you've whispered, every tear you've cried, every act of faith you've sown, they've been collected, compounding like interest, ready to be released. Joel 2:25 promises, "I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten." Those years of struggle, of feeling like life was stealing from you, they weren't lost, they were invested. God is opening that vault now, but it requires your participation. Your 3 steps, writing your goal, reaching out to someone, taking one tangible action. They're not just tasks, they're keys. Unlocking the treasures heaven has held for you. Picture those treasures spilling out. Relationships restored, dreams revived, doors of opportunity swinging wide. Chosen one, but the vault only opens for those who move before the hour is up. Let's talk about resilience, because that's what's carried you this far. You've been knocked down, haven't you? Maybe by betrayal, by loss, by circumstances that felt like they'd crush you. But you're still here, still listening, still believing. That's not luck. That's divine strength, woven into your spirit by the one who formed you. Philippians 4:13 says, "I can do all this through him who gives me strength." That strength isn't just for surviving, it's for thriving, for building a life that reflects God's glory. Think of Ruth, a widow in a foreign land with nothing but her loyalty to Naomi. She could have given up, but she kept moving, gleaning in the fields, trusting God's provision. Her resilience led her to Boaz, to a legacy that included King David, and ultimately, your resilience, chosen one, is leading you to a legacy just as powerful. But you must keep moving, keep trusting, keep stepping toward that door. The hour is almost gone, and this message is fading like a whisper in the wind. You might feel the urge to pause, to think it over, to wait for a better moment. But better moments don't come to those who wait. They come to those who act. Imagine standing before that golden gate, its light warming your face, its promise calling your name. Every doubt you've carried, every fear that's held you back, they're melting in the radiance of God's truth. You're not too late. You're not too broken. You're exactly where you're meant to be, at the exact moment heaven ordained. The question isn't whether God will keep his promises, it's whether you'll trust him enough to walk through the door before it closes. Your destiny is waiting, chosen one, and it's closer than you think. Your destiny is waiting, chosen one, and it's closer than you think. What will you do with the time you have left? The air around you is charged, isn't it? Like the moment before a storm breaks, heavy with the promise of something unstoppable. This isn't just another fleeting feeling. It's the weight of divine expectation pressing on your spirit, urging you to move before this sacred hour slips away. You're not standing at an ordinary crossroads. You're at the threshold of a celestial gateway, one that leads to the life God envisioned when he first breathed your name into existence. The doubts that linger, the whispers that say you're not ready, they're not your truth. They're the fading echoes of a battle you've already won. Picture a phoenix, rising from ashes, its wings ablaze with purpose, soaring toward a sky painted with God's promises. That's you, chosen one, on the verge of your ascent, with less than an hour to spread your wings and fly through the door that's open only for you. Let's talk about the unseen threads weaving through your life, the divine connections that have brought you to this moment. You've felt alone at times, haven't you? Like your struggles were yours to bear in silence, like no one could understand the fire burning in your soul. But you were never alone. God has been orchestrating encounters, aligning people, and arranging opportunities, all to prepare you for what's behind this door. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven." This is your season, your time, your purpose unfolding like a scroll in the hands of angels. Every person who crossed your path, every challenge that shaped you, every moment that felt like a detour, they were all part of God's intricate design, guiding you to this divine appointment. The enemy wants you to see your life as a series of random events, but God sees it as a masterpiece, each stroke of the brush leading to this hour, this message, this moment, meant only for you. Consider Maria, a 47-year-old librarian from Boise, Idaho, who felt her life had settled into a quiet, unremarkable rhythm. She'd always dreamed of creating a literacy program for immigrant families, but the demands of work and the fear of stepping out kept her dreams locked away. One evening, feeling restless, she stumbled across a message like this one. Her heart stirred, but her mind protested. "I don't have the resources. I'm not a leader." Yet something urged her to act. She took one of her 3 steps. She wrote down her goal to start the program within 6 months. The next day, she reached out to a co-worker who knew a local non-profit, and within weeks, Maria was leading a small pilot program. Today, her initiative helps over 200 families, transforming lives through the power of words. Maria's story isn't about extraordinary talent. It's about ordinary courage meeting divine timing. You're in that same moment, chosen one, with a door open and a clock ticking. Will you act, or will you let this hour pass? If this message is kindling a flame in your spirit, consider supporting our mission through super thanks below. Your generosity helps us carry this urgent call to others standing at their own divine thresholds, awakening them to their faith journey. Whether you give or simply receive, your presence here is no accident. It's a divine orchestration. Now, let's talk about the power of your influence, because you're not just called to receive, you're called to release. Your life is a vessel filled with the overflow of God's grace, meant to pour out into the world. Luke 6:38 promises, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap." That overflow isn't just blessings for you. It's healing for the hurting, hope for the hopeless, light for those lost in darkness. You're not stepping through this door to hoard God's goodness. You're stepping through to become a conduit, a channel through which His love flows to others. But the enemy doesn't want you to see your influence. He wants you focused on your limitations, on what you lack, on why you're not enough. He'll point to your empty bank account, your broken relationships, your past mistakes, and say, "Who are you to make a difference?" But God points to your heart, your willingness, your faith, and says, "You are exactly who I need." Think of the widow in 1 Kings 17, who had nothing but a handful of flour and a drop of oil. When Elijah asked her to give, she could have refused, clinging to her scarcity. Instead, she gave what she had, and God multiplied it, sustaining her through famine. Your influence, chosen one, doesn't come from abundance. It comes from obedience. Your small steps, writing that goal, reaching out to someone, acting on your calling, they're the flour and oil God will multiply into a miracle that feeds nations. If you're feeling this message stir deep within, type, "I am a vessel of God's light," in the comments below. Your declaration is a spark, igniting courage in someone else who's doubting their own impact. Let's build a community of chosen ones, pouring out God's love, lifting each other toward our divine purpose. Now let's address the temptation to compare, because it's one of the enemy's sneakiest traps. You've looked at others, haven't you? People who seem to have it all together, whose lives look like a highlight reel, while yours feels like a blooper reel. Their success feels like a mirror, reflecting your shortcomings, making you question why God hasn't moved in your life the way He has in theirs. But comparison is a thief, stealing your joy, your focus, your unique calling. 2 Corinthians 10:12 warns, "When they measure themselves by themselves and compare themselves with themselves, they are not wise." Your journey isn't theirs, chosen one, because your assignment isn't theirs. Imagine a garden filled with every kind of flowers. Roses, lilies, sunflowers, each blooming in its own time, each beautiful in its own way. You're not meant to be a rose if God planted you as a sunflower. Your beauty, your impact, your purpose, they're unique, designed to shine in a way no one else can. The enemy wants you to covet someone else's petals, but God wants you to embrace your own roots. Your 3 steps: writing your goal, reaching out, acting on your calling. They're tailored to your soil, your season, your bloom. Don't waste this hour comparing your bud to someone else's blossom. Your time is coming, and it's closer than you think. Picture that golden gate before you. Its light not dimmed by anyone else's path. Its promise crafted for you alone. This is your hour, your message, your moment to step into the fullness of who God created you to be. Let's talk about the power of persistence, because that's what's carried you through the storms to this threshold. You've faced moments when giving up seemed easier, haven't you? When the weight of disappointment felt too heavy, when the silence from heaven felt too loud. But you're still here, still listening, still hoping. That's not weakness, that's divine endurance, a strength forged in the fires of faith. Hebrews 12:1 urges, "Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." Your race isn't someone else's, it's yours, with every hurdle placed to build your stamina, every valley designed to deepen your trust. Your persistence is your testimony, chosen one, proof that God's Spirit in you is stronger than any force against you. The enemy thought he could wear you down, but he didn't count on the one who upholds you. Imagine a marathon runner, miles into the race, legs burning, breath ragged, the finish line still out of sight. What keeps them going? Not the crowd's cheers, not the promise of a medal, but the inner conviction that every step brings them closer to their goal. You're that runner, chosen one, and this hour is your final mile. The door before you isn't just an end point, it's the gateway to a new leg of your journey, one where your persistence pays off in ways you can't yet imagine. Your 3 steps, those small intentional acts of faith, are the strides that will carry you through. Don't stop now, don't slow down. The clock is ticking, and this message is fading, but your destiny is waiting, radiant and ready, just beyond the threshold. The clock is ticking, and this message is fading, but your destiny is waiting, radiant and ready, just beyond the threshold. What will you do with the time you have left? The urgency coursing through your veins isn't mere emotion. It's the rhythm of heaven's heartbeat, syncing with your own, calling you to step into the divine purpose etched into your soul before the stars were born. You're not just watching a video. You're standing at a sacred juncture where the veil between the ordinary and the eternal is paper thin. The doubts that flicker in your mind, the hesitations that tug at your courage, they're not chains, they're invitations, urging you to trust God's voice over the noise of fear. Picture a ship, its sails catching the wind, poised to cross an uncharted sea toward a horizon aglow with promise. That's you, chosen one, with the wind of the Holy Spirit at your back, and less than an hour to set sail through the door that's open only for you. Let's talk about the power of surrender, because that's what's required to cross this threshold. You've been holding on, haven't you? To control, to certainty, to the familiar shores of what you know. But God's plan doesn't unfold in the shallow waters of comfort. It beckons you to the deep, where faith becomes your anchor. Proverbs 3:5-6 commands, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." Surrender isn't defeat. It's the key to victory, the act of releasing your grip so God can fill your hands with His promises. Imagine a seed, clenched tightly in a fist, unable to grow until it's released into the soil, your dreams, your calling, your destiny. They're that seed, and this hour is your chance to let go, to plant them in the fertile ground of God's will. The enemy wants you to cling to control, but God wants you to embrace surrender, because that's where miracles take root. Consider Daniel, a 62-year-old carpenter from Memphis, Tennessee, who felt his life had been defined by missed opportunities. He'd always sensed a calling to build homes for the homeless, but the demands of providing for his family and the fear of financial ruin kept him tethered to his routine. One night, unable to sleep, he stumbled across a message like this one. His heart stirred, but his mind resisted. "I'm too old to start over. I don't have the fun." Yet a quiet voice urged him to surrender his excuses. That night, Daniel took one of his 3 steps. He wrote down his goal to start a small housing project within a year. The next week, he reached out to a local charity, sharing his vision. To his surprise, they connected him with donors who believed in his dream. Today, Daniel's project has built 3 homes, with plans for more. His story isn't about sudden wealth or instant success. It's about the power of surrender, of trusting God's path over his own. You're at that same crossroads, chosen one, with a door open and time running out. Will you surrender, or will you hold on? If this message is sparking a fire in your soul, consider supporting our mission through Super Thanks below. Your generosity helps us carry this divine urgency to others standing at their own sacred thresholds, guiding them toward their spiritual awakening. Whether you give or simply receive, your presence here is a divine orchestration, woven into God's eternal tapestry. Now, let's talk about the gift of your uniqueness, because you were not created to blend in. You were created to stand out. The world may have tried to mold you into its image, to dull your edges, to silence your voice. But God crafted you as a one-of-a-kind masterpiece, with a purpose no one else can fulfill. Psalm 139:14 declares, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, I know that full well. Your quirks, your passions, your experiences. They're not accidents. They're divine brushstrokes, painting a portrait of a life meant to reflect God's glory in a way only you can." But the enemy doesn't want you to embrace your uniqueness. He wants you to conform, to shrink, to believe your differences make you less. He'll point to others who seem more polished, more accomplished, and whisper, "You'll never measure up." But God points to your heart and says, "You were made for this." Think of Mary, the mother of Jesus, a young girl from a nowhere town, chosen to carry the Savior. She wasn't a scholar or a queen. She was ordinary, yet her willingness made her extraordinary. Your uniqueness, chosen one, is your strength, the very thing that qualifies you for the door before you. Your 3 steps, writing your goal, reaching out, acting on your calling, they're not about becoming someone else. They're about becoming the fullest version of you. Don't waste this hour trying to fit someone else's mold. Your light, your voice, your story, they're what the world needs, and they're what God is calling forth now. If you're feeling this message echo in your spirit, type, "I am shining my unique light" in the comments below. Your declaration is a beacon, inspiring someone else to embrace their own God-given design and step into their divine moment. Let's build a community of chosen ones, celebrating our differences, standing together in purpose. Now, let's address the illusion of scarcity, because that's another lie holding you back. You might be thinking, "I don't have enough. Time, money, energy, opportunities." But God doesn't operate in scarcity. He operates in abundance. John 10:10 says, "I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." That fullness isn't a distant promise, it's a present reality waiting for you to claim it. Imagine a banquet table stretching as far as the eye can see, laden with every provision you need: wisdom, resources, connections, strength. That table is set for you, but you must pull up a chair, not stand on the sidelines doubting there's enough. The enemy wants you to see lack, to focus on what's missing, because he knows that scarcity breeds fear and fear breeds inaction. But God wants you to see abundance, to trust that He's already provided what you need for this moment. Think of the feeding of the 5,000 in Matthew 15. The disciples saw only 5 loaves and 2 fish, but Jesus saw a feast for thousands. Your resources may seem small, chosen one, but in God's hands, they're more than enough. Your 3 steps, those simple acts of faith, are the loaves and fish God will multiply. You don't need a surplus to start. You need a spark of trust to move. Picture that banquet table, your name written on a place card, the chair waiting. This is your hour to sit down, to partake, to believe that God's abundance is already flowing through your life. The message is fading and the door is closing, But your destiny is calling, louder than ever. What will you do with the time you have left? Let's talk about the power of vision, because that's what will carry you through this door. You've had glimpses of it, haven't you? Moments when a dream felt so vivid, so real, you could almost touch it. A business